I have to say, looking through your preface to the book, or your foreword, there are a couple of quotes that really stuck out for me in terms of parallels with the leadership question in America at the moment. You speak about the impression that we have of President Jacob Zuma, and you query that, and that sets up the whole premise for your book. I just want to read a little bit from it, because I think it's pertinent to what's going on home and abroad at the moment. History teaches us that people who have a major impact on the world are sometimes initially dismissed as lacking in sophistication and/or clear goals. So obviously there are parallel with some people's take on Donald Trump. But once that person finds himself in the middle of destruction, or in the driver's seat of a massive campaign to change the world, the spotlight falls on them while people wonder how that person managed to get into such a position of power. I mean, the parallel with what's just happened in the United States is uncanny. And the question around, you know, when will Trump go? Will he last a full term? Will he last two, which is what he hinted at in his acceptance speech? What for you have been the parallels between, you know, Zuma and Trump? I know American politics is not your forte, but as a political analyst, what sticks out for you?
Well, very interesting. I mean, I lived in the US as a student for about 4 years. I've observed American politics. When President George W. Bush was elected for the second term, I was there as a student. When the war in Iraq started, I was there as a student. I've observed that. And one of the things that stand out for me when it comes to understanding Trump's success and how you can draw the parallel with what is happening in South Africa regarding President Jacob Zuma is that at times people find it difficult to relate to Main Street. People find it difficult to relate to formal institutions of democracy. And when people are having that difficulty, when people become disenchanted with Pretoria, under Thabo Mbeki, people were saying that the president is electing, appointing premiers and so forth. There was this sense where people were saying, is this the kind of democracy that we want? It's not an intimate democracy. If you go back to the US, you talk to people, you are going to find out that people are saying that there is something wrong in Washington.
The system.
Exactly. Why is it that after the financial crisis, you still do not see serious regulatory regime in Wall Street? Why is it that is the case? Then comes Donald Trump, who's saying to people that, you know what, I'm going to fix Wall Street for you. I'm going to fix Washington for you. And the problem here is that people do not ask, how are you going to fix it? Because they are so disenchanted, so worried about Wall Street, so worried about Washington, that they will accept any half-cooked alternative. They might find out in the middle, of course, that actually there was nothing into it. The same thing, in my view, if you look at President Jacob Zuma's leadership, that excitement that we are going to have the ANC that is responsive to the people by then, that is what people were thinking about, only to find that actually he's even more bureaucratic than President Jacob Zuma, than President Thabo Mbeki. I beg your pardon. One of the things that I think he's been bureaucratic about is that he even formed the National Planning Commission, which I'm critical about, that why are you centralizing planning while you can do it across department and so forth. So the whole idea that Mbeki was a centrist and everything, I'm not defending him, by the way. I think that there are certain things he has done that are grossly wrong, and the manner in which he also dealt with people, he should take responsibility for having created the environment for the emergence of President Jacob Zuma. But I think at the center, the problem that you are seeing in these two countries, the United States and South Africa, far apart as they are, maybe you can even get Britain if you want. The whole idea
Brexit.
The whole idea of Brexit. Go to Germany, the resurgence of the right wing within Germany as well, where the bigger problem at the center is the declining legitimacy of mainstream institutions.
And that begs such a very important question about the institutions of the state. If there's such disillusionment, as you describe, whether it's in a South African context or an American one, with this system, with the structures of an administration, with the avenues of recourse within a government, you know, what does that say about the idea, the very basis of democracy or the electoral system in play?
It says that democracy cannot just be a commotion. Democracy is not all about just passing law mechanically and saying that because we followed procedure, the institution works and all that. It says that democracy needs to keep on affirming itself in terms of the relationship that those who are acting within the institutions have with the people. Mechanical democracy, going about the procedure and all, it's not enough. People want more from institutions.
I find that interesting because often I imagine that a system that's very depersonalized but very administratively sound. If you look at some of the Scandinavian countries where, all right, personality plays a role, but the actual ability of the state to give grants, to provide services is so sound and so clear, maybe I imagine that would solve a lot of South Africa's problems. But you're arguing a very different point. You're arguing that the relationship, the contract between the person of leader in democracy and the people needs to be stronger.
Exactly. You need that. I mean, I understand that at some point you've got to bureaucratize. You've got to allow the system of delegation to take place. I don't imagine a situation where a president can always take a call from constituency and all that. You've got a system of delegation that need to be followed through. But I also think that there is a need for the president or maybe the leaders to actually appear to be caring about the people. Because at the
appear
end of the
or
day,
genuinely be? Because it sounds like your criticism of Zuma is that he isn't genuinely.
You have to be genuine. I believe that President Thabo Mbeki was genuine, but he seems to have believed that his genuineness will somewhere, somehow earn him respect later. It's not about that. At the time you are being genuine, you also have to look and appear genuine. It's the same thing as the question of justice. It's not just about it being applied. It has to be seen. You have to be seen also to be genuine. You've got to be genuine in all respect. And if you are not, you pull back, you rely on that system of delegation, you do not make efforts to deal with that. And also understanding social dynamics, you will be punished even if in terms of procedure, clearly you would have followed the necessary procedure.